So, ma'am, tell us a little bit about the kind of translations that you do. And you translate your own stories yourself. We were talking about time, energy, inspiration. You are an inspiration in so many ways to me and to writers like me. We were talking about you the other day. And, tell us, when do you get time to translate your stories in English? How long does it take?
It takes much longer time than writing. Writing is a sort of pleasure, although a bitter sort of pleasure, while translation is an entirely different sort of art. You don't translate only words, you translate life. And you should keep the beauty and the bitterness of life,
Right.
the ups and the downs, the happiness and of of pain.
Exactly.
So uh, translating is very tough for me, very tough. It takes a lot of time. It is usually when we have had dinner, the family. Then I have 1 hour, and I go on doing it. I don't during the weekends. I get up very early, let's say 5 o'clock in the morning, until 10:30. I'm working like that, and finally I'm so tired.
Right.
But when you're tired, then the translation becomes the best. It
Aha.
becomes automatic. So at times I just give up translating and write it in English. I've written a novel.
Yeah.
Some stories I write in English. The science fiction that have elements of science fiction in them. And
That's
the
amazing. So you're a bilingual writer. Oh my
No,
God, that's a
not so much bilingual,
yes.
because it is happiness to write in Bulgarian. Bulgarian language is so rich. It has 1300 years of history, and when you write in Bulgarian, you feel as if all these 1300 years of history are in your words. They come with you, they help you, they support you. While when you write in English, you have to constantly think about English grammar, prepositions, idioms. It is much different. That's why I use it when I write science fiction, when I think. When I write Bulgarian, it happens like life, like
Wonderful.
water that is going out of a source, mineral water going out of a mineral source, mineral
Right.
spring.
Uh-huh.
But
But your
English,
English is very good. It's
my
very good.
English, yes, this is what I've been doing for
A
many
long
many
time.
years.
Yeah.
I translate my stories and novels from Bulgarian into English. I do not translate them from Bulgarian into German and French. I have tried to translate it into French, but my publisher in France, Le Supirail Publishing House, the editor said, "Please send me your English version."
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
what happened. It is
Right.
my dictionary, my vocabulary is not so rich
Uh-huh.
in French and in German. I
Right.
can use it to translate, for example, laws or some financial contracts. It is because there are set phrases, there are terms that you use, but literature is something very, very much different. It is life.
Exactly. Wow. I love the way you talk about these things, the difference between writing, translating, and what literature is and what writing means to you. It's really inspiring. Um, what do you do to relax?
Uh, my favorite time to relax is on Sunday, when we have a little garden not far from the place. Not indeed so near, it's 20 kilometers away, but it's comparatively near. It's a very wild place. I can graft trees.
Wow.
From wild trees, wild apples, I can turn it into a very noble, good apple. From a
Wow.
wild cherry or morello cherry, I turn it into a very big cherry tree, into a cherry tree that gives very delicious
Exotic
fruit.
fruits. Uh-huh.
Yes, I do that. From hawthorn, I can turn it into a very good pear tree, which I do. Uh,
Wow.
it
And
is
do you have a story about this?
some every time in my novels and stories there are elements about it,
Uh-huh.
because it is
Uh-huh.
my beloved way of passing time, and of course I've taken my uh, two granddaughters with my friends to coffee shops where I buy hot chocolate for them and cappuccino
Wonderful.
for me and my friends, and to having, for example, half an hour or even an hour sometimes, a very happy time together.
Wonderful. And your sons live in Germany, right? So you have been there, you've spent time there, I'm guessing. How do you think Bulgarian culture is different from German culture and, maybe Italian culture, French culture? It's a very generic sort of question, but
Well, difference between Bulgarian culture and German. My younger son, who is a computer programmer, tells me the following thing: Mom, in order for something to be accepted as spontaneous in Germany, it has to be prepared a month beforehand. For a
right.
spontaneous meeting, you prepare it 1 month beforehand. In
Wonderful.
Bulgaria, it is absolutely unbelievable because I have friends who are my neighbors. I live on the fifth floor. On the sixth floor, I have a friend, and on the third floor, I have a friend. I just call them and I say, Darina is one of my friends.
Yes.
Come, I'd like to drink a coffee with you. She
Wonderful.
comes immediately.
So
Immediately.
nice. Yeah.
Or if I meet somebody in the street, I meet
Yeah.
you on the street.
Right.
I said, Panky, please come with me. I have
Yeah.
something very important to tell you. It
Yes.
might not be so very important, but I will take you and you will have a cappuccino and
Yes.
we'll talk. It is
Absolutely.
absolutely impossible in
Yes,
Germany.
you.
It is possible in Italy.
Yes, you have that. You have that amazing energy sphere, and you have a way of making a human connection that is just amazing. I have to say that. So,
But all
it's,
Bulgarians
I like that.
like that. I'm not an exception to this rule. Everybody is quite busy working very hard to get enough money to pay to put bread on the table,
Right.
to have education for the children, to buy new TV set or new computer, new laptop. You work very hard here, very
Yeah.
hard indeed.
Yes.
But your friends are a way to make your everyday work lighter and more pleasant.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
a friendly word, a smile for me is a small seed out of which very good friendship grows later on. I do
Exactly.
believe that, and I have. We travel every day by train because I don't live in Sofia. I live in a town called Pernik, 30 kilometers away from Sofia. We are a group of 7 friends. Uh, Once every 2 months, we gather together at a restaurant.
Wonderful.
Every morning, we have 7 minutes for our cappuccino at a
Wonderful.
good cafe at the central railway station in Sofia, and the cafe shop owner has become our friend. Her name is Monica. So you know here where we drank cappuccino with you, Eva is my friend, the owner of this shop.
Wonderful,
So,
yes. It was a great cappuccino, great cup. My second cup of treat from you, so thank you for that as well.
So I introduced you to her. I
Yeah.
bring there my friends, they're our university professors, writers, poets,
Right.
and not only that. Some are people working in the social system, helping the old people who need help. Someone I have a very good seamstress who make different new models of dresses for ladies.
Amazing.
Another one is a person working for a very influential businessman. She runs his
Amazing.
house
Uh-huh.
for him.
And
And I have teachers, friends. I have many friends, but it is very good to have friends in the morning and have these 7 minutes of your cappuccino in the morning.
absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
important for your day.
Yes, I have so many questions, but let me just ask you this one first. Some of your favorite writers. I don't want to ask you about who has inspired you in the past or something, but if you want, you can tell us. But today, some of your favorite writers from Europe, from anywhere in the world, and what do you think of this writer, the young Bulgarian writer Georgi Gospodinov, who's being talked about a lot as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, my most famous writer is the Bulgarian short story writer Jordan Yovkov. I like a lot Anton Pavlovich Chekhov, the Russian writer, classical writer. I like Thomas Mann.
Uh-huh.
I like Guillaume Maupassant.
Uh-huh.
I like Hemingway a lot. John Steinbeck.
Yeah.
And
Right.
of course, what I would like to tell you about Georgi Gospodinov, he is a very exceptionally talented Bulgarian writer,
Wonderful.
and the Bulgarian Pen Center has put forward his candidature for Nobel Prize this
Wonderful.
year.
Wow.
We are 49 people in the Bulgarian pen club. It is very hard to be accepted there. There is a tough procedure. 50% plus one member of the Bulgarian Pen Center has to vote for you in order to be accepted as a member. All our members supported Georgi Gospodinov's candidature for a Nobel Prize in Literature, and
Amazing.
we keep our fingers crossed for him to win.
Crossed.
In my opinion, he's very talented, very dignified writer, and he has a lot to tell the world about how
Bulgaria.
things in Bulgaria happen.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for talking to us. And I have one final question before I say bye. I just can't say bye. You also teach creative writing.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Do you want to say something about that? I mean, how teaching, energizes you. What does it mean to you, and your students, and
Yes.
so on. And
I have
also,
taught,
yeah, if creative writing can actually be taught.
well,
To an
what
extent.
I say to first of all, I taught, I'm teaching creative writing at the University of Sofia, and I taught creative writing in China.
Oh.
And in China it was for a short time. I was offered to go there and teach it. However, this horrible war began, and it stopped. It put an end to my desire to go. I hope the war will end as soon as possible.
Exactly.
But now, what I would like to say is that we have many talented young Bulgarian writers.
Right.
If you ask me, it's a very important question, if it can be taught.
Yeah.
What I think is that if you feel like writing, if you want to write, then you have talent to write. Then this talent needs some very initial support and help. What I do is, in the beginning, I give the advice given by world famous writers to their young colleagues, like what Hemingway said, like what Mark Twain said, like what Chekhov said, what Maupassant said, what Friedrich Nietzsche said. Well, then I start giving them some topics to write. Then I give them some different sort of exercises. For example, you begin a paragraph, and your colleague finishes a short story by the paragraph you have begun.
Wow.
He begins a paragraph and you finish a short story by the paragraph he has offered you. Or different sort of exercises. And of course then I give the different sort of examples that are of creative writing that is taught at Princeton University, Harvard University.
Wow.
So our students know what happens in the world, not only here in Europe, but what happens, for example, in the United States. And but I tell them, you can become writers when you cut the string that keeps you connected to your most famous, to your most beloved writer.
Exactly.
You become a writer of your own blood, of your own talent, when you cut this umbilical cord that keeps you connected with your most beloved writer. And I say, I give you what these wonderful writers advise you to do.
Right.
But you may not accept all this advice. You can reject it.
Absolutely.
And when you start rejecting it, then you become the writer you want to be. Of
Wonderful.
course, you should respect everybody's writing, but you should be different. You should be different, original. Your talent is original because you're a different and original human being. That's what I'm trying to teach them, and that's what they believe. They will become very talented individuals indeed in Bulgaria, very, very talented. what is difference? What differences I discovered between Bulgarian students and the one in, for example, in China.
Yeah.
When I say that I want in Bulgarian a short story ready by, let's say, by Monday, they give it on Monday.
Aha.
They give just one short story. The students in China, they give me when the deadline is Monday. The student in China give me on um Thursday.
Oh.
They gave me 2 or 3 short stories,
Aha.
different short stories on the same topic,
Yes.
and they're ready to discuss it. And they
Uh-huh.
have read the short stories, 2 or 3 short stories their colleagues have written.
Aha.
They know it. They know these short stories in details. They have underlined the metaphors they have just noticed. They are very open about the weak points in the short story. While my Bulgarian students, they write one short story. They give it on just the last possible minute of the deadline.
Aha.
They have pointed out the metaphors very well. The Bulgarian students concentrate on the positive points in the short story, and they're not so keen on,
On the negative.
pointing out the weak points.
Exactly.
So
Wonderful.
this is the difference that I have noticed. But
Wonderful.
the thing in common is the talent that I have noticed both in Bulgaria and in China, and the very great urge to become somebody, to write in a way that will attract human minds and human hearts to the things, to the short stories, essays, or well, not novels because you're not writing novels there, to the parts of novels or initial chapters of the novels they have written. This is what they have in common: originality and the desire to be somebody in the literary world. I think that it is very positive. And both have respect for what their colleagues have written. This is another thing they have in common. And
Wonderful.
also the curiosity to find how different writers in the world write. For example, young writers in India. That would be a wonderful thing if we could get something written by young Indian writers, not only young, any age, writers of any age in India.
Right.
Because India is, we know a few names, just a few. We would like to see how Indian people feel and write. That would be something great if we could come in contact and enjoy.
Wonderful. I hope you do make a trip someday to India and deliver a lecture as well as do a workshop. It would be a pleasure to be in it, and I hope that we will meet again. But for now, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you, ma'am, and lots of congratulations and good wishes. And you're going to Albania. That's another project. I was just I'm sorry, I just can't say bye. But let me quickly, very quickly. You wrote a story about this musician, and you were earlier telling me about this Bulgarian musician who was actually born in Albania.
Yes.
And they liked it and they want you to talk about it. So
Yes,
yeah.
his name, the name of this musician is Ioan Cucuzel. He was born in 1280 in the town of Drac, and the Albanian name of this town now is Durrës. Durrës, we are going to visit Durrës, and I'm going to speak about him, about this composer. If you read on the internet, in the Wikipedia, and all information about it, they will say that he is a Byzantine composer. It means a composer that belonged to the Byzantine Empire, the ancient empire of the Greek people. However, we believe that he is the first Bulgarian composer because in his most famous piece, which is called Eulogy for the Bulgarian Woman, the songs, all the words of the song are in Greek. Only the word of the mother of the composer, the words the mother pronounces, are in Bulgarian. And these words are, "My poor child, you have to go away from our family home." This is the words the mother speaks in Bulgarian, and the mother of this composer was a Bulgarian woman. So he is a great innovator, Ioan Cucuzel, and he just modernized the way music was recorded and written down on paper by the so-called combination NEVMI. NEVMI is a combination of signs that demonstrates how the melody should be sung. There were no notes of music at that time. It was Nevni that he rationalized the way of putting music on paper. And he was called the singer who had the voice of a god.
Wow.
And because he sang so beautifully. About 90 of his compositions, musical compositions, have been preserved until today, and some of them are here in our national history museums.
Amazing. Wonderful. I think you love music.
I do.
You have a specialist's understanding of music. Do you want to share a little bit about your favorite musicians, your favorite songs, Bulgarian folk music?
What I like, my family my favorite composer is Beethoven, especially this Ninth Symphony with the Ode to Joy in it, also the Fifth Symphony, the Symphony of Destiny. I like very much Paganini with his Caprice number 24. I like Johannes Brahms with his Hungarian dances so much. I like Bulgarian folk music, and especially Bulgarian folk singing women. They have different, it's a harmony of different women's voices, which is unique. It takes you to the sky, to the stars, to the sun. This is my favorite, and especially the singing of women in my native town, where it is the so-called, it is unparalleled. There is no such singing in other part of Bulgaria. The so-called all singing, which shows great richness both of depth and height in the singing of women. It is wonderful. You should listen to it. It is incomparable. I could not compare it to anything else I have heard.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, ma'am. It was such an honor and pleasure. Thank you for joining me.
Yes. I thank you for asking me those so interesting questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to give all my love, all love in my heart to the people who view this video and to the Indian, the people of India. Let them all, and yourself and myself, be healthy. Let good health be the basis of all our happiness, of our victories, and our friendships.
Thank you, ma'am. Amen. Thank you.